It's pretty amazing when you find something written like thousands of years ago and it still just clicks today. Not just for, old battles, but for challenges we face right now.
Oh, absolutely. And we've got a prime example lined up. We're going to dig into Sun Tzu's The Art of War, using this really excellent article as our guide, The Art of War, an ancient guide for modern leadership.
Exactly. And it's not just about armies clashing. This article makes a strong case that Sun Tzu's ideas are, well, a powerful toolkit for strategy in business, maybe even sports, leadership,
Yeah.
basically anywhere there's competition.
Uh-huh. It's about finding that smart edge wherever your particular battlefield might be.
So our mission here is to pull out the real core insights from the article, give you a sort of a shortcut to understanding these timeless principles and, importantly, how they actually work today.
Think of it as getting the playbook highlights, because fundamentally, the article argues strategy is about survival, about long-term success.
All right. And it boils down to needing good strategy, sure,
Yeah.
but also being adaptable, having strong leadership, and being able to look ahead, foresight, essential stuff for navigating, well, everything today.
And the article structures this around five key strategic pillars from Sun Tzu. The first one they talk about is the way.
The way.
Oh.
Okay, and that's about morals.
Ethics. Yeah, basically, it's about the leader having moral integrity, creating this unity between the leadership and, the team or the forces. It inspires loyalty, makes people resilient.
So if people believe in why they're doing something and trust the leader's ethical compass, they'll stick through the tough times. Makes sense.
Exactly. And the article gives some great historical examples, like Winston Churchill during World War II. His moral clarity, even with all the awfulness of war, really united the British people.
That's a powerful example. It wasn't just tactics, it was the cause, the belief.
Right. And they also mentioned George Washington. His integrity, his commitment held the Continental Army together during the Revolution, even when things looked pretty bleak.
People were fighting for the principles he represented, not just land.
But then on the flip side, the article points to the Vietnam War as maybe an example where a perceived lack of clear ethical direction, or at least the loss of public trust in it, really hampered the strategic effort.
That's a tough one. It shows strategy isn't just cold calculation. It's deeply tied to human values. Okay, so that's the way. What's pillar number two?
Number two is heaven, which sounds grand, but it's really about understanding the environment, the climate, timing, the bigger picture conditions.
The factors you can't directly control but have to account for, like weather.
Exactly like weather. Sun Tzu saw that things like seasons, day and night, cold and heat, they aren't just background noise. They can totally change the game.
Yeah, you could have the best plan, but if a blizzard hits, the article mentions Napoleon and Russia, right?
It does. Classic example. Brilliant general, massive army, but underestimating the Russian winter. A catastrophic strategic error. The cold itself became a weapon against him.
And conversely, the Soviets at Stalingrad used the winter. They were prepared, they understood it, and it gave them a huge advantage.
Precisely. So the takeaway is, the environment, the weather, the timing, it's an active player in your strategy. You have to work with it, or at least account for it.
Okay, makes sense. Heaven. What's next?
Third is Earth. This one's more grounded, literally. It's about geography, the terrain.
So, the physical landscape. How hills, rivers, forests, deserts, how they impact what you can actually do.
Exactly. The terrain dictates your tactics. You can't just charge cavalry across a swamp, right? The article uses Thermopylae as an example.
Ah, the 300 Spartans.
Right.
Using that narrow pass.
Right. A tiny force holding off a massive army because the terrain neutralized the Persians' numbers. The geography was their force multiplier.
And Agincourt. With the mud.
Yep. Heavy French knights bogged down in muddy fields, completely negating their advantage against the lighter English forces. The ground itself shaped the battle's outcome.
Wow, it's not just about where you are, but what that place is like.
And think about Rommel in North Africa. His mastery of desert warfare, knowing how to use that specific terrain for swift maneuvers, often caught the Allies off guard. It was deep knowledge of the earth.
So it's strategic use of the environment, whether it's weather or the ground itself. Got it. Pillar four.
Pillar four is command. This is all about leadership qualities. Sun Tzu was very clear on this.
Okay, what did he look for in a leader?
Intelligence, definitely. Decisiveness, got to make the call. Honesty, courage. These weren't just nice to haves, they were like strategically essential.
And the article breaks that down further, right? Like inspiring people, managing logistics.
Yes. Inspiring the troops, handling the supplies, which we'll get to, making quick decisions under pressure, communicating clearly. It's a whole package.
Who does the article hold up as examples?
Well, Alexander the Great comes up, tactical genius, sure, but also incredibly charismatic, able to inspire his soldiers through his own actions.
You could see how that would make a difference.
And for a more modern example, Eisenhower during D-Day. The sheer coordination required, managing all those different Allied forces for that incredibly complex operation. That's top-tier command.
Wow. That takes incredible skill.
But the article also points out a counterexample, maybe Chiang Kai-shek, suggesting that issues like indecisiveness or poor logistical management really hurt his strategic position. It shows the negative impact when those command qualities are lacking.
Because leadership isn't just about having authority, it's embodying these specific effective traits. Okay, one pillar left.
The fifth and final one is discipline, order, organization, and especially logistics.
Ah, so you can have the best plan, the best leader, understand the terrain and weather, but if your team isn't disciplined, if they can't execute.
It all falls apart. Exactly. Discipline means orders are followed, morale stays strong, the whole operation works together smoothly. It's the engine that makes the strategy actually happen.
And logistics is part of that. Seems crucial, but maybe less glamorous.
Absolutely crucial. The article stresses this. Discipline relies on good training, yes, but also on reliable logistics. Getting the food, the weapons, the supplies, the intel, getting everything where it needs to be when it needs to be there. It's the foundation.
The Roman legions are the classic example here, I guess.
For sure. Their incredible discipline, combined with their really sophisticated logistical system, allowed them to operate effectively over huge distances for long periods. Discipline and logistics went hand in hand.
Okay, so those are the 5 pillars. The way, heaven, earth, command, and discipline. Rooted in warfare, but the article argues they apply much more broadly.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting, seeing how these ancient ideas pop up in modern contexts.
Like Napoleon. He apparently studied Sun Tzu.
Seems likely, yeah. His emphasis on speed, maneuver, deception, trying to win smartly rather than just through brute force, that definitely echoes Sun Tzu's principles.
And then, jumping way ahead, the article mentions Konosuke Matsushita, the founder of Panasonic. How did he use this?
Well, he built his business on a long-term vision, really focused on discipline within the company. Fostering that shared purpose sounds like the way, doesn't it? And he was relentless about gathering market intelligence, understanding the competitive terrain.
Wow. So applying these strategic pillars directly to building a global company. That's pretty compelling.
It really is. And it even stretches to sports. The article brings up Bill Belichick, the NFL coach.
Ah, known for being adaptable, always adjusting his game plan.
Precisely. That flexibility, that strategic thinking, preparing meticulously, but being ready to change based on what the opponent does. It's reported he draws inspiration from The Art of War. It shows the real breadth of these ideas.
So pulling back a bit, what are the big overarching themes the article wants us to take away from Sun Tzu?
Well, a major one is that preparation and thinking ahead strategic foresight are way more powerful than just relying on brute strength or numbers. It's about outthinking, not just outmuscling.
Working smarter, essentially. Planning lets you avoid unnecessary conflict sometimes.
Exactly. Another huge theme is knowing yourself and knowing your opponent or your competition or just the situation you're in. That understanding is critical for finding your advantage.
That seems almost universally applicable, doesn't it? Business, career, even personal goals. Know your strengths, weaknesses, and the landscape.
Absolutely. And then there's flexibility, adaptability. The world changes, circumstances shift. Being rigid, sticking to a plan no matter what, that's often a path to failure. You need to be able to pivot.
So plan, yes, but be ready to adjust that plan based on reality. Don't get locked in.
And finally, it circles back to that first pillar. Effective leadership needs that moral foundation. Integrity. The way underpins sustainable strategy. A brilliant plan without ethical grounding is likely to falter eventually.
So putting it all together, the article's message is that The Art of War isn't just some dusty military manual. It's really a guide to strategic thinking and leadership that works, pretty much anywhere.
Right. It encourages approaching challenges with thought, with discipline, but also with agility. Not just reacting, but responding strategically.
Whether you're running a team, launching a product, or figuring out your next career move, these ideas about strategy, leadership, and foresight are still incredibly relevant.
Definitely.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, we've looked at Sun Tzu's 5 pillars through the lens of that article. The way, moral core, heaven conditions, earth, terrain, command, leadership, and discipline, execution and logistics. And we've seen how they echo in modern business, leadership, even sports.
Yeah, the core message is that strategic thinking is vital, far beyond any battlefield.
So here's something for you, the listener, to chew on. Thinking about these principles, what battlefield in your own life, work, personal projects, whatever, could maybe use a more strategic approach?
And drilling down a bit, is there one specific element, maybe the way, or understanding heaven or earth better, or focusing on command qualities or discipline that feels particularly relevant for you to focus on right now?
Really good questions. If this sparked your interest, definitely check out the article, The Art of War, Sun Tzu's Modern Impact. We've put a link in the notes. Or, hey, maybe even tackle Sun Tzu's original text.
It's worth the read. Thanks for joining us on this exploration. Hopefully, it gives you a useful framework for your own strategic thinking.
Thanks, everyone.